Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to day 31 of Decktober. To celebrate spooky Halloween, we're looking at a $50 budget Thraximundar deck tech. This zombie assassin says when it attacks, defending player sacrifices a creature, and whenever a player sacrifices a creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on Thraximundar. This deck is going zombie tribal to the max, also sacrificing creatures constantly to beef up Thraxi and swing in for the win. Now, let's get straight into the budget deck tech. As always, we're starting off hot with all of that ramp. First on up here, there is Dark Ritual to add 3 swamp to your mana pool, and Crowded Crypt to tap for a swamp and put a crypt counter on whenever a creature you control dies. You can pay and sack it to create a 2/2 zombie token for each corpse counter on Crowded Crypt. There's Arcane Signet to add 1 mana of any colour in that Grixis option, and Dimir Signet to pay, tap and add Dimir. We've also added in Izzet and Rakdos Signet to both pay, tap and add Izzet or Rakdos. And Commander Sphere and Mind Stone for those rampy rocks that can also be sacked to draw a card. There's Obelisk of Grixis to add blue, red or black. And finally, we have Soul Ring, because Soul Ring. Before we get into all of that sacrificial slaughter, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for all things MTG. It's completely free to do, and it helps our channel grow and grow as we head towards 2,000 subscribers. Now we're looking at all of those big sacrificial options in this deck. First on up here, we've got Cleaver Scarb to pay 3 and sack another zombie to create 2 token copies of sacrificed creature, and Corpse Harvester to pay and sack a creature to search your library for a zombie and a swamp, putting those cards into your hand. The key word with Thraximundar is whenever a player sacrifices a creature, meaning we can help trigger it too to make that zombie even stronger. There's Demon's Disciple to ETB and make each player sack a creature or planeswalker, and Fleshbag Marauder to again ETB and make each player sack a creature. We've got Merciless Executioner again with that ETB sacking creature trigger, and Plaguecrafter to ETB and make each player sack a creature or planeswalker, with those who can't discarding a card. There's Ravenous Rotbelly that says when at ETBs you may sack up to 3 zombies. When you sack 1 or more zombies this way, each opponent also sacks that many creatures. And Slum Reaper for 1 more ETB group sacking trigger. The more sacrificing options in this deck, the better, to help us boost up Thraximundar even more, attack players that hopefully just have 1 or no creatures and smash on through for the win. There's Viscera Seer for a free sack outlet that allows you to scry 1, and Carrion Feeder to also allow you to sack a creature and put a +1/+1 counter on it. We've got Empty the Laboratory to sack X zombies, revealing cards from your library until you reveal a number of zombie creatures equal to the number of zombies sacked this way, putting those onto the field. Sacking a load of zombie tokens to get all those zombies out could be huge. And Innocent Blood to make each player sack a creature. We've got Necrotic Hex to make each player sack 6 creatures, also creating 6 tapped 2/2 zombie tokens, and Siphon Flesh to make each other player sack a creature, creating a 2/2 zombie token for each creature sacked this way. Finally, we've got Liliana's Triumph to again make each opponent sack a creature, making each player discard a card if you control a Liliana Planeswalker, and the Eldest Reborn to make each opponent sack a creature or Planeswalker, discard a card, and put a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield under your control. So we've seen the endless sacking options that we have. Now let's look at that big zombie army we'll gather. First is Death Baron to give your zombies +1/+1 and Death Touch, and Diagraph Captain to give your other zombies +1/+1, and whenever another zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. We've got Lord of the Accursed to give each other zombie +1/+1, and you can pay and tap to give all of your zombies menace until end of turn. And Nafi Betrayer King to again give your other zombies +1/+1 with a nice recursion option to bring it back to the field. We've packed in Tomb Tyrant for yet another +1/+1 zombie boosting option, also having the option to sack a creature and bring back a zombie at random from the graveyard to the field. And Big Budget Breaker Zombie Master to give all of your zombies Swamp Walk and the ability to regenerate. We have Dreadhorde Twins to amass 2 and give your zombie tokens Trample, and Gleaming Overseer to amass 1 and give your zombie tokens Hexproof and Menace. There's Vizier of the Scorpion to amass 1 and give your zombie tokens Death Touch, and Hordewing Scarb to give all other zombies flying, and whenever 1 or more zombies you control deal combat damage to a player, you can draw cards equal to the number of opponents dealt damage this way, then discarding that many cards. Having an endless army of zombies is so important, as not only can it potentially overwhelm our opposition, but those token creators can give us sackable creature fodder to again beef up Thraximundar. There's Midnight Reaper that says whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you lose a life and draw a card, and Undead Augur that similarly loses you life and draws you a card whenever it or another zombie you control dies. We have the regenerating Nightscape Familiar to make your red and blue spells cost 1 less to cast, and good old Gary, that when ETBs, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is your devotion to black. There's popular new card Will Helt the Rot Cleaver that says whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 zombie token with Decayed, also allowing you to sack a zombie on your upkeep to draw a card. And Dreadhorde Butcher with haste that when deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and when the Butcher dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Finally, we have Murderous Rider for some adventure mechanic removal, and when it dies, you put it on the bottom of your library. We've had a look at all of those zombies, but it doesn't stop there with all of these zombie supporting cards now. First up is Keycard Rooftop Storm that says you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for zombie creature spells you cast, and huge zombie card Army of the Damned to make 13 tapped 2/2 zombie creature tokens with that dreaded flashback mechanic. There's Gissa and Geralf that when ETBs you mill 4 cards, also allowing you to cast a zombie card from your graveyard during each of your turns, and Liliana's Mastery to give your zombies +1/+1, and when it ETBs you create 2 2/2 zombie creature tokens. There's Dark Salvation to have target player create X 2/2 black zombie tokens, then one target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each zombie that player controls. And Rise of the Dreadman to create X 2/2 zombie berserker tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn, with that lovely foretell mechanic. We have Enchantment Open the Graves that says whenever non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, and Liliana Death's Majesty to mill 2 and create a 2/2 creature token, and a big ult option to destroy all non-zombie creatures. Finally, there's Dreadhorde Invasion to amass on your upkeep, and when a zombie token with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. An Unscythe Killer of Kings to give equipped creature +3/+3 first strike, and when a creature dealt damage by a equipped creature is put into a graveyard, you may remove that card from the game. If you do, put a 2/2 zombie token into play. Before finishing up with the lands, we're looking at the best of the rest in this budget brew. First up is classic removal Feed the Swarm to destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls, with you losing life equal to that permanent's mana value, and Terminate to destroy target creature. There's Tragic Slip to give target creature -13/-13 until end of turn if a creature has died this turn, and Ghoul's Night Out that says for each player, choose a creature card in that player's graveyard, putting those cards onto the graveyard under your control. They're black zombies in addition to their other types, with that decayed mechanic. We've got Costly Plunder to draw 2 cards if you sack an artifact or creature, and Village Rites to again sack a creature to draw 2 cards. We have counter spells in Rewind to counter target spell and untap up to 4 lands, and Unwind to counter target non-creature spell, untapping up to 3 lands. And finally, there's Infernal Grasp to destroy target creature and lose 2 life. And now, of course, we're rounding off this budget brew with all of those lands, starting off first with the basics, and we have 15 basic Swamp, 10 basic Island, and 5 basic Mountain. As you can see, this deck is heavily black, and we're fully leaning into that with our basic mana. And if you do want to make use of that Narfi recursion, then make sure you add some snow-covered lands too. There's Command Tower and Exotic Orchard to help fix all of our mana, and Commander Classics in Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse to tap, sack, and get some basic lands onto the field tapped. There's Mortuary Mire for some graveyard recursion, and rounding it all off, there's Path of Ancestry to scry 1 whenever we cast a zombie spell. Thraximundar is a brilliant and evil choice for Commander, and one that will really prevent your opponents from keeping a big board full of creatures. And that brings us to the end of Decktober, and I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone for all of the support on the videos on the last month. It really has been incredible. And a huge shout out to my very good friends me, Master Steve and Ruben for helping me create loads of these fantastic decks this month. There we have it, that is the $50 budget Thraximundar deck tech. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all of our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I'm all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.